Hello there. So my name is Alessandra, and I'm the co-founder of BMV Global, a global environmental fintech. I'm honored to be in our team today. Todd Chapman, the former US ambassador to Brazil, and Luiza Toscan from SGS.
Well, thank you very much, Alessandra. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be a new international board member for BMV. BMV stands for Brasil Mata Viva, which in English means Brazil Forest Alive. And since 2007, this company has been very involved in developing the whole concept of conservation at the local level in Brazil and figuring out ways to monetize that. And while I was ambassador in Brazil, I was spending a lot of time on environmental issues, and I had the opportunity to see all of this creative Brazilian energy to address environmental solutions. And we're seeing other wonderful Brazilian companies here at this important conference. But Brasil Mata Viva, BMV, has come up with really a global environmental fintech solution that I think is going to be incredibly important as we seek ways to monetize conservation for the benefit of the landholder and the end user. And they've come up with a way that does that, and I believe a very creative way, and it's extremely credible. And what you're going to hear about just now is the methodology they came up with, tested over time, validated by hundreds of Brazilian companies that have been involved in this process, and also now that is expanding onto the financial markets, the Brazilian Stock Exchange, et cetera. So I think you're about to see something very important. But I'll tell you, ultimately, the reason I got involved, not only because it brings a real-world solution, but because they bring credibility to the process. They have SGS here, which you're going to hear, a well-known European company that is validating their processes. And you have Ernst & Young, a global accounting firm, managing the oversight of the finances. And it's that kind of credibility, when you bring that to this solution, that is going to win markets. And so I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Yeah. So in one hand, we have a fair payment for landowners who protects their forests, and on the other hand, is straightforward ESG for government and businesses. To meet the demand, we develop innovation and what taking the environmental payment service digitally using blockchain. We engage with the local communities, landowners that are organizing the local group of farmers, governments to implement sustainable policies, and the network access of individual and organizations. We are B2B, B2G, B2C, B2 everyone. So basically what we do, a platform connects the biodiversity credit issuers, owners, with the end users on a simple and directly way. But what is our solution? We developed the Green Treasure Program, a solution that is being adopted by governments. An example, a special example showcase is the government of Amapá in Brazil, and they are being represented by Eduardo Tavares, which is the manager of this program in the government, and he can talk about his experience on implementing. And we have also the attorneys from the state level that came all the way to Glasgow as well, and they are present here as well. And we would like to share the experience as well on the other side, on the private sector, Sebrae, which is 20 million over companies. They are bringing the solution for them as well, the ESG certification for them. So first, we developed the solution that starts with the certifying the areas that have been protected and issuing the assets and crediting their platform. The platform has a dashboard like this, and and enables a public and private landowners manage monitoring and results of their project, and the other side, investors, companies who use those credits and check where the money goes and how is spent. And now I'd like to.
Hello, everyone. I will talk a little bit about the assurance process. All the process that Alessandra explained, it's registered in a blockchain platform. So in one end, we have the data, the social and environmental data from the conservation project, and on the other end, we have the green treasure certificate. After the credits from the conservation projects are already issued, we can. Sorry, no, it's fine. It is issued. We can we calculate the footprint of a company. Basically, every company has their impact, so we can calculate the impact. And when they buy the amount of credits that are equivalent to the footprint, it's when the certificate is issued. And the certificate looks like the slide before and has a QR code and all the traceable information. And just another topic that I want to bring is why we call it an ESG solution. We have on the environmental aspect the maintenance of the carbon reservoirs, which is very, very important. But also there's a lot of other co-benefits of this program. We have maintenance of hydrological flows, biodiversity. In the social aspect, we have food production. The conservation projects, they work in the regions to increase food production, to generate income for people from the region. And also for the government aspect, the program is aligned with Paris Agreement and other all the climate, the important climate deals. Yeah, thank you. And do you want to come? Yeah. That's how we call it an ESG solution, because it's complete.
We call ESG specific because we create the innovative part of our asset that combines the E, S, and G, so protecting forest, food safety, and the governance compliant with the third parties that audit the process and address the KPIs and issuing to address companies to issue, for example, sustainability-linked bonds and all the brand enchasement. So simple, practical solution with verifiable and transparent effectiveness. Some of the results that we are able to achieve so far and prepare to expand and scale up our action and ready for it. And some quick facts are, we have 5 projects already running. This is a reality, so it's already happening, creating jobs, protecting forests, over 100,000 jobs when all the project is implemented, it will be creating, and already 50 million hectares protected under this project. So our solution is a bundle. First, the BMV standard, when it's implemented, and creating issuing, certifying the areas that is being protected. Another, it is the Green Treasure program, and that it is a certification program for companies that wants to address the ESG certification. And the third one, it is the Access, which is the platform where the US UCS, the asset owners, check on real time when their credit is being sold and manage those investments. So please, I would like to invite Todd to show on our next steps.
Sure. So I think what you're seeing is a company that's been in existence for a while, done a very good job of creating a local locally registered and understood value and standard by which companies can have confidence in the credits that they're buying. Because in my experience, it's now all about credibility. There are a lot of people out there that are selling what are called simple carbon credits. That's not really good enough for the market anymore. It really is about ESG plus and the standards by which you are demonstrating that your projects are providing a real solution that people can put money down on. They've done that. And they have the credibility of some very important international players to back them up. And that's why I think this is a company that's really set to grow considerably. So I think what we're looking for right now is we're looking for ways to expand our own platform within Brazil and expand the demand and market share. We're looking for also ways to cooperate with other governments, because something that Alessandra referred to with the state of Amapá is working with governments to figure out how to monetize some of their own conservation efforts. And so we're very interested in doing that with Scotland, just because we see what a forward-leaning government that you see here in Scotland. And then lastly, it's looking for partnerships, creative partnerships. And many of the companies that I've seen here are coming at this from different angles. And I think there are going to be opportunities for partnership globally. So with that, very interested in your questions, observations, comments, but thank you very much for your attention. Who has the first question? I'm not used to bashful audiences. I'm used to people just jumping right in. Somebody in the back?
Yeah. Thank you for a nice presentation. And just wanted to ask if you think that your solution can solve the problem of deforestation in Brazil, because as far as I know, the problem of deforestation is, with a lot of illegal logging and coming from this failure of commons and problem with the regulated land tenure. So this is like first question, the problem of the deforestation. And the second, if you when you produce your this ESG credits or units, what happens when deforestation happens? If you could maybe
I'll take the first one, and I'm going to let you take the second one, because you're the one implementing it. But I can tell you that the big challenge in Brazil, as it is everywhere, is do you have the economic incentives in order to leave the trees standing? Something that I used to tell Washington a lot is, remember, trees don't vote, people do. And so if you don't take care of the people, they're not going to take care of the trees. And so just like in many countries that have large forests, you have poverty. And oftentimes it's in the most rural areas where you have a lot of poverty. So the temptation is to simply cut down the trees. So what this does is creates the economic incentive and the social awareness and the community consciousness that if we keep the trees up, we're going to make more money. And so it does contribute directly to limiting the amount of deforestation that happens.
Yes, with our experience, we have been working with the farmers in the Amazon area, which is a place that live more than 22 million people. We created, that's the innovation part, instrument that enables them to protect the forest and get paid for that protection. Because nowadays, they don't get any penny. There's some project that's happening as opposed as a carbon credit, but what happened is we created a solution that value what they are protecting, bringing transparency for who is purchasing those credits, and use satellite. First of all, we use satellite to organize in monitoring those areas, and the thing that is most different opposed to the others, it is the credit is only issued after the service is provided. So it's not a promise of protecting. The farmer needs to protect. After that, the credits issue on that land. And after this process, the credit it is credit on their account for them be able to sell for companies and get paid for this service. In case if destruction by accident, for example, it happens something as the same process when you have a crop soil crop and you sell them when you plant, right? So it's the same concept for us. If he protects, he sells the credit that's being protected already. If he destroys, you won't have the crop to sell next year. So he sells the service every year. So brings a real economic value on the service that he is being providing for all of us that in the city.
And Alessandra, let me just add one thing that I found very innovative as I learned about this, is essentially the breakdown of the distribution of the finances for this is 1/3 goes to the individual, and then 1/3 goes to the community organization of which all these individuals are part.
Yes.
And that creates the communal pressure, let's just call it pressure or incentive, to make sure that everybody's participating. And that has been proven to be a far more effective model than just working with individual owners. And so it's that system, based on their intensive knowledge of how this works in Brazil, that has resulted in their more successful model than others that have been implementing.
Hello, Alessandra. Congratulations on the project. How do you price the credits that you're generating? Just to have a better view, when companies buy it, how do they price it? How do you price? Do they price it, or are you guys price it?
It is the price of the platform. So the price, it is an index basket that has the balance of the area it's being, that forest is being pressure for the economic, which is percentage of wood value, a carbon credit, and among others factors that is combined. It is audit, is a methodology of CHIP, which is recognized for value ecosystem services. So we adapted for the Brazil, for these assets that's being issued on forest in Brazil, using the economic pressure on that region. So with this cattle production, soil production, there's among index that it is registered on commodity price. It's all connected, and the non-technology part, the API with the stock exchange price for future commodities.
And if I can add to that, the price right now, I don't have the exact price, it's over $30
Yes.
a credit, which when you compare it to some of those that are just carbon credit, getting rid of a ton of carbon dioxide, you can buy that for a lot cheaper. But this is really, I call it the Rolls Royce of credits, because it really is an ESG solution as opposed to just a carbon neutralization effort. And I think that's what we have to do a better job of, is helping people understand that. And as Brazilian and international companies in Brazil understand that, this is where they want to go, because they can also tell their headquarters, first of all, Luiza's with SGS. I'm not sure if that was clear. She's representing a major European firm, Ernst & Young. That's something you can defend back to your headquarters, whereas if you're just buying, a simple carbon credit, you can't. So I like to think of it as the Rolls Royce of ESG credits that are out there on the marketplace today.
So you can achieve environmental gain through either protecting high-quality existing natural assets, improving medium to low existing environmental assets, or creating new environmental assets. Do you think that your platform has the flexibility to deal with some of those that aren't necessarily quite interchangeable, but and which one of those do you think that you would be most focused on doing first?
So first of all, we create the concept, the framework platform, issuing the credits on this biodiversity that has back in Brazil. But the platform is ready, and the next step is to establish and creating an asset on different biomes, and it's ready to perform. Sorry. Pantanal, the tundra, cerrado, which is a savanna, So there's different biomes around the road because we believe the platform needs to have assets from everywhere because the nature is connected and is holistic, right? So we need to protect all the biomes, even though those that is being recovered. So that's the solution applied for here too.
Josh, I think if I understand your question correctly, it's going to be really geared towards the conservation piece to prevent people from
Yes.
cutting down the trees, but also it's helping these communities understand that if they plant trees on this acre, they're going to make more money than leaving it as pasture land, because this is not great pasture land in the Amazon. So this is going to encourage, I believe, and I don't know what the statistics are, it's going to encourage these communities to realize that they're going to make more money planting. So I think you are going to see also a reforestation effort. But I think it's really about conservation and helping communities understand the trees are worth more, standing up than they are when they're taken down.
I just want to say one thing, that the role of SGS, we are the official certification body for the compensation methodology. So we validated the footprint calculation and also the whole BMV methodology for compensating in an SG certification.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.